All right, good morning, guys. Today we're going to talk about the listing process / presentation. There's so many views on how to do a listing presentation. So I am going to share with you, after taking hundreds of classes and from professionals to guest speakers to marketing companies, and then doing hundreds of listings myself, I have melded the process for me and my personality. And so know that this isn't the only way to do listings. This is one way. I would say it's pretty effective because my conversion ratio is rather high with listings. And so I find that my process has been pretty effective. However, again, there's different views on how to go about a listing. And so I encourage you to listen to podcasts, pick other top agents' brains around how they do listings, the ones that actually take quite a few listings, not like, oh, you've done this for 1 year, you've gotten one listing. What's your secret? Like, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the agents who do 20, 30, 50, 100 plus listings a year. So when you're learning how to do a listing, learn from the people who do it well, not the ones that are perceived to be doing it well. So we're going to start more with a mindset of it all. Like, when you get someone that tells you they want to list their property, understand that sellers actually will, not always, but the stats are higher that they will interview more than one agent. So statistically, it's like 60 or 70% will interview more than one agent, whereas it's opposite with buyers. Buyers tend to only interview one agent. Sellers have been known to interview more than one agent. So you have to say, what will make me stand apart from even someone like me, someone who has experience, someone who's taken a ton of listings, someone who knows the area or who have sold in the neighborhood. You have to put your own little spin to this. So what I'm going to teach you is the process that I've done to win listings, but I want you to take what I do and even put your own personality to it. And so remember, this is not 100% how you have to do it. This is just to catapult you to start getting listings quicker. Okay, so someone tells you they want to sell their house. You need to find out or the first question I always ask is, when are you looking to move by? We actually have a pre-qualification questionnaire. And so that is right here. So when they first tell you that they want to sell, your goal is to really get the appointment. I'm going to step back. Every type of lead you talk to, that should be your first goal. Like, how do I schedule a face-to-face with them? I have done, and especially one with COVID, 2, I do a lot of out-of-state clients. I have listed properties without ever meeting the owner. And so sometimes meeting face to face, or the meeting itself could be Zoom, it could be a phone call, but it's a commitment with the owners of the property. And so that should be your first goal. You can build rapport You don't want to just be like, hey, I want to sell my house. Great. When do you want to meet? Like, build rapport, obviously. And some of these questions will become repetitive from what you asked them to get the appointment and the pre-qualification questionnaire. And so if it sounds repetitive, it is, and it's just as important to do it more than once. So you build rapport, however that is, and it also depends on how well you know the person. If it's your brother, parent, cousin, uncle, it may be, okay, when can I come over? But if it's someone you met at the grocery store, you're probably going to want to build rapport before you move on to setting the actual meeting with them. So some of the things I try to ask are, when are you looking to sell? Is it right now or maybe in the summer? Just kind of gauge their timeline. What are they doing if they do sell? Is it, are they gonna sell buy? Are they gonna sell and rent? Are they going to sell and build? Are they moving out of town? Are they staying local? Hold on, guys. I'm sorry, my kids are sick. I may have to cut this short today. Both my girls are throwing up. Okay, we're gonna get through maybe like 20 minutes and then I'm probably gonna have to cut this short and finish it next week because both my girls have a stomach bug. So build the rapport and set the appointment. Once you set the appointment, then you're actually going to, and this is the number one most important piece of this. And if you don't do anything else I teach you, if you don't do anything else I teach you, do this, because this is what will get you listings. We teach this all over the board. I'm not the only one that teaches this. The mega top agents do things like this. But again, top agents are like 2 to 5% of the entire market. So if only 2 to 5% are doing this, you probably want to do this with them because that's why they're at the top. So I created this for you for a reason, because I know it works. And please, thank you, Brittany. Please feel free to add to it, to make suggestions to add to it. This is just essentially what I have found to be not too much, but just enough information to make you stand out and feel professional. So what you want to do, or what I do, is I print this on a little thicker paper, and we do have the printer here, and I typically.
Can I ask a question real quick? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Is this under the docs section on the intranet, the back agent?
Nope. So this is actually in your Google Drive. So each of you got an email originally with your templates.
Okay.
And so you got the buyer's handbook, the seller's handbook, the renters, your business card, all of that. That was in that email. And then what our marketing team does is shares your folder with you when you join. And so it's automatically put into your Google Drive.
Okay. Awesome.
Good question. And before I log off, I'll run quickly how you can find that.
Okay.
If you've lost the email. And worst case, I resend it to you guys. But this is there. I will get thicker paper again. I had some and we used it all. But I like it to be on a little thicker paper just for quality wise. Again, this is for a listing, so I'm willing to pay a little bit more to get a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 listing. So I would advise to use a little thicker paper. It makes it nicer. And then I have these folders. Now I have a ton of them at the office, so you're welcome to use them. I know some agents actually print them and take them and get them bound, or you can get them laminated. I mean, any way to make it look classy is what you want. You want it to look a little fancier than just a printed piece of paper with a staple on it. So I put them in, I have gray and I have green folders, and you actually deliver them to the owner. Now, depending on where the owner is, it will depend on how you deliver it. So you can actually drive it over there yourself, leave it at the door, knock on the door, hand it to them. I typically don't do that because I don't want to have a conversation right there. Like, that's not the goal of it. The goal is to have them read this prior to being in the appointment. You want to get like the little about you stuff out of the way. You don't want the listing appointment to be about you and about what you do. You want the listing appointment to be about seeing the house, discussing repairs, discussing price, and getting the contract. That's what you want the appointment to be. And so this actually makes you stand out. You look professional, and it helps answers a lot of those questions that you don't have to spend an extra 45 minutes on when you get to the property. So I have had them delivered to their office. I've had them FedExed overnight out of state. I have emailed them to like international clients. I don't typically like emailing them in general, but if you have someone super techie and that's how they want, but there's something nostalgic about getting something in the mail. So really try not to skip out. And if you don't financially have the means to like get it delivered for you, then get in your car, or if you have a high schooler, send your high schooler to put it on the doorstep. You don't need to actually talk to them unless you're sending a courier and they can deliver it to them. But you don't want to be the one to actually stop and talk to them if you deliver it. So when you set the appointment, you're going to let them know that they will be receiving something in the mail or at their door within the next 24 hours that you would like them to review. You should never do same day appointments because that doesn't give you time to do your process. And your process is what wins you the listing over another agent. So don't be one of those agents that's like, oh, I can come today. Let me drop everything and come today. That doesn't make you look like you're professional and organized. That makes you look desperate, to be honest. It really does. Like, it may not come across. You may be thinking that you're giving them what they want, but when they actually see the process you take, that is what makes them think, oh, wow, she's more professional or he's more professional. They're systematic, they're organized. This is who I want listing and negotiating on my behalf. So any questions? If you haven't read this, I will show you where this is. Remember, it's created for a reason. I didn't just spend the time and the money and the effort to make these things so that you can keep it in your email. It's there because you should be using it for your listing appointments. Questions about when the seller's handbook goes to a seller?
No questions.
Perfect. Okay, so after you you've set the appointment, build a little rapport, set the appointment. You send the seller's handbook within 24 hours and you let them know it's coming, but to be honest, if they didn't look at it, they didn't look at it. And you don't have to necessarily worry, because remember, we talked about disc profile on another class. Depending on what disc profile they are is whether they're going to truly read it all or not. And so they may look at it. If they're a high I, they're going to look at it, look at the picture, say how pretty and professional it is, but I can guarantee you they're not reading every single page. A high D probably is not going to do that either, but they're going to appreciate that you did this systematic step, but they're probably not reading it either, or they might just scan through and be like, oh, pricing a home, let me read that one because that's what I care about. They're going to be more picky and choosy what they read, whereas your S's and your C's, they will probably follow directions. They're analytical. They will read the whole thing. So depending on the personality will tell you who reads it, but I don't really truly care if they read it. It's about the process of it. And so after they get this, and right before my call, usually the day before, sometimes the morning of, it really depends on how far out the appointment is. So if it's 48 hours out, I'll do it after they got the packet, but not the morning of. If it's literally 24 hours, then I'll do it the morning of, while I'm preparing for the listing. And so I pick up the phone, and this is one of the many. I have like 6 different versions of this. This is one of my favorites, but I'm going to send out all the different versions I have, and you can find more out there on the internet in different toolboxes, but it pretty much all has the same questions, just in a different order. So Lewis, I'm going to role play with you. Do you have your mic on?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I do.
Do you have your door shut? Because I can hear you.
One moment. And I will shut my door.
Hi, Siobhan. Oh, thank you. Okay, so it'll be ring ring.
Whoops.
Ring ring. Gotta answer the
Hello.
phone.
Hello.
Hi, Lewis. This is
Hello,
Lena
how are
Sims
you?
with
Oh my
Inc.
God, is
Real
this Lena?
Estate. How are you?
Oh my God, I was so excited to hear your call. How can I help you?
I want to first make sure that you got the packet I sent over.
Yes, I did.
Okay, great. I would love for you to review that, to just answer any questions you may have before I show up today, this afternoon at 2 o'clock. And so before I come out, there are just some questions I need to ask you, if that's okay.
Absolutely fine.
Great. If what I make sense and you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, are you planning to list your home with me when I come out today?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And are you planning to interview more than one agent for the job of selling your home?
I was thinking about like my sister, but like, she's kind of ghetto, so I don't know.
Okay. And tell me again, where are you guys planning to move to?
We were thinking about Austin.
Austin, okay. And how soon do you need to be there?
No rush, because we have another property that we can stay in since it's not leased out right now.
Okay. And when I see you, how much do you want to list your home for?
For a lot of money.
A lot of money. So basically you're waiting for me to tell you what to list it for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're the professional. Like, I just kind of trust you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, since I am the professional, like you said, I study the homes and prices every day. And therefore I assume you'll list with me at the price that it will cause your home to sell, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So what price won't you go below?
For what I paid for it. So I think it was like 450, and like I'm no agent, but I heard the market's like the seller's market and I can really make some money. So
You
I'm
are
trying to make these
right. It is the
calls.
seller's market. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow. So you said you paid 450. How much do you owe on the property?
I think, it's almost down to like 100,000, 100K.
That's amazing. And have you ever thought about selling it yourself?
I did, that's what my sister was trying to get me to do, but like I've seen,
Your sister, the agent?
yeah, like the
Huh.
ghetto one,
Hmm.
but she was just like, you know, if I did it myself, then there's like some workarounds, but I've just seen that I'm not trying to have this thing on the market forever. Like I want this to
Perfect.
be to go and get going.
Yeah, only about 4% of for sale by owners sell themselves, so it doesn't make sense to do it that way. Um, will you help will you help finance a home for a buyer, or do you want to fully cash out?
I just want to cash out. I mean, I guess I can ask the pros and cons when you get here because I've never considered
Yeah.
that.
Okay, perfect. That helps me prepare for our meeting today. So I can have both options available for you. We can talk about that.
Okay.
And would you just please describe a little bit about your home for me?
Yes, it's sexy.
That's awesome. So what makes it sexy?
Well, there's this bomb floor plan, open concept. It was I'm the only one that's ever lived in it. And it's very
You've never lived in it?
I'm the only one that ever lived in it. Like,
Oh, ever. I thought you said never.
ever, right?
Sorry.
And so, we're super clean. It's very let me see. Oh, like when I say open concept, I'm talking about like, it's easy to see from upstairs to downstairs. We have great flooring. We didn't do anything cheap, like that basic stuff, because I'm just not a basic person. Mm-mm. So, but it's no Dr. Phil show house, like that's just tacky. So I guess you have to see it. It's a modern concept, very, I just know it'll sell fast based off of what you see on like Instagram and all these other like, influencer agents or whatever.
Well, great. That was great information. And do you currently have any questions before I arrive?
No, is this consultation gonna cost me anything? Like, do I need to give you like money or something?
No, I mean, you're welcome to, yet no, I
Oh,
don't charge. I don't
okay.
upfront charge, but you're welcome to
Oh.
pay me if you'd like.
Hi. You're open to receive it. Well, great. We'll consider the meetings.
So, our meeting should actually only take from like 10 to 25 minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, I look so forward to meeting with you and your wife this afternoon at 2:00.
Wonderful. We can't wait to see you. We'll have some like, tea and crimpets available.
Thank you, Lewis. I will see you later.
Have a great day.
You
Ta-ta.
too. Bye. Okay, so obviously I appreciate that, Lewis. The phone calls don't typically go that way. Do they answer your questions? Yes. Is it playful? It can be, depending on who you're talking to. So there's some questions on this one I noticed that did get left out that some of the other ones do have, like, will all the decision makers be there today at 2:00? You really do, as to your best ability, to get everybody who needs to sign the contract to be there that day. Now, in a realistic world, that doesn't always happen. And again, though, your goal is to get the contract signed. Some agents do a two-step listing. So there's what they consider one step, two step. One step is you go in and you see the house, you talk numbers, you get the listing signed. Some say, well, no, I want to go in, I want to see the house, build rapport, discuss process and their situation, and then go home, do numbers, and then get the listing signed. Neither are wrong. I have done both, depending on, again, are these people I already know, or are these people that I don't know? The don't know people, I really don't like to leave it up to chance that they're not going to go and meet someone else that is a higher closer than I am, or I want to say higher closer because I have a high closing ratio, but a more aggressive closer, because I'm not an aggressive closer by nature. And so the one-step approach tends to be better for me because I know that I am confident on getting their house sold. So I do close in the appointments. So if I did naturally do a two-step, there's more room there for someone to come in and take the listing from me. So you do what you feel comfortable doing. There are top agents that do the two-step approach, but I would guess, in knowing a lot of them, they didn't necessarily start off with a two-step approach until they really perfected their craft and got a ton of their business being referrals. Because the more than likely, when it's a referral or a past client, they're not going to go interview another agent. So two-step is more than likely okay. Not always, yet a higher chance that they're not going to go interview another agent. Questions, comments around the pre-qualification conversation?
Yes, I have a question.
Yep.
So, okay, this is the first thing that is done, correct? Is that correct?
This is the third.
The third, okay, so they've already received the packet at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
I know number 10, I didn't
Yeah,
say number
it's
10.
confusing.
I send it before I do the pre-qualification questionnaire. Some agents do it reverse, and it honestly does depend on, did you make the appointment at 10 o'clock at night and then the courier couldn't get out there till noon, and then your appointment's at 5? You're probably going to do the call first thing in the morning so that you have enough time to prep for the listing. So it does depend on your timing of everything. The packet still needs to get there and the questionnaire still needs to happen. I like to do it in my best ability to do packet then questionnaire. But if you have to do questionnaire then packet, then here's the script for that too.
Okay, and where can we find these scripts, or are these not available?
I'm
to
going to
us?
be mailing these out, emailing.
Okay.
I will
Okay.
mailing. Mail. No, I will be emailing these all out.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so then we're going to we're going to prepare for the listing. So the questionnaire is there to more so mindset. Notice how I didn't rebuttal any of his questions. Maybe sometimes I'll dig deeper, sometimes I won't. I could tell Lewis just liked to talk, so I wasn't going to sit there, and for two reasons. I wasn't going to keep asking too many questions because I would have been on that phone forever. Two, it's not really even about the conversation on the phone. I do want the answers to my questions, but to go deeper right then and there isn't always necessary. Now, if he says, I want, I paid $450, I owe $350, but I want $700, and then I run the numbers, I know what I'm going in to have a conversation with. Or if he says, I need to move in 2 weeks, then we need to have a more aggressive price plan. So those questions are there because they're giving me an idea of where to lead the conversation when I walk into the house. That is the goal of that script. There are more, and I'm trying to find, I guess I downloaded them. So, here we go. Like, here's another one. Why are you selling? What are your plans? How long have you owned? How many, have you made any improvements? What are your plans if it doesn't sell? What is your time schedule? So just, there are different, I'm gonna send them all that I have. I have like 6 different ones. You can see which one that fits you the best. You can make your own with the questions, but there are reasons those questions are there to prepare you, because you shouldn't be in a listing appointment for really more than 30, 45 minutes. If it's an hour plus, you're not prepared, or you're not, you're letting them lead the conversation versus the other way around. So this is just a checklist. We're not really there yet. We're actually getting prepared for the listing. So the next step is to prepare for the listing. I went ahead and just pulled some comps in my neighborhood to, this isn't a CMA class, this is a listing, prepare for a listing class. So I do tend to, if this was in person, to do more an interactive style. Since it is Zoom, I'm not gonna be able to do it exactly the way I hope, because typically I show you how I lay it out. It's gonna be more verbal in this case. But I literally will pull as many visual sheets that I need to get my point across. And so in this case, I usually print off everything that's happened in the neighborhood in the last either 6 months or year, depending on the area and depending on how many solds. So like in this case, there's a ton of solds in the last 6 months. I'm not going to go back a year, but maybe when I get more specific to my house, I might pull a year. So I'll print an actual snapshot of the entire neighborhood. And I print this, by the way. I don't do anything super fancy. I don't do any of the quick CMAs. I literally print this view because it is easy to digest. You can have conversations around it. You can see that there's really not many price reductions in the neighborhood. I mean, it's visually appealing. And I just found it to be the best visual that works for my presentations. What I will do is go and hit stats. So check them all off, hit stats and tabular. And then that will take all the listings that you've checked and turned it into a visual grid of the averages. And so that again helps. Hold on, guys. I got like 5 minutes. I'm so sorry. I have to get home. I was hoping Michael would be able to, but no. Okay. So I would print this as well so that I know what the average size of the house, the average list price, the average sold price, the price per square foot, because although that doesn't necessarily matter to me, it matters to clients, the average days on market. This is just visually, again, appealing. I'm trying to make it simple and visually appealing for clients. So that's where, those are 2 things I would print automatically to have with me. Then I'll do more of a narrowed search. So like my house is 3,000 square feet. So I would probably do 2,500 to 3,500. And now there's 7. So I would print this and then I would do the same thing with stats. And I either staple them or I paper clip them. If there's more than one person that's going to be there, I paper clip them because I want them to both be able to see it. or maybe you make copies for as many people that are going to be there. I typically don't do that, but again, if I had a table and where I could show you guys, I'd show you how I'd lay it all out. But again, tweak it to what you want to do. So it's always obviously better to have 2 copies than 1 if you feel like that is easier for you. But I put it literally in the middle of them and I go through it with them. And so I'll print this out, the stat sheet, and then I know my neighborhood has a lot of pools and I don't have a pool. So then I'm going to go in and narrow it down even more. Well, this one is significantly larger in price. And so I'm going to find out why. And so taking the time, and again, this is not a CMA class, this is the listing portion of the class. So, but you do need to obviously be prepared for it. And if you find that there's one that's like exactly the same as the house that you're going to be at, then it's good to print more details on that property. Or if you have an iPad, you could have HAR ready and you can highlight this one and be like, let me show you this one with the photos. So you understand condition. And I would say this one's very comparable to my house, except for mine's a 1-story and this is a 2-story. Which would matter. I also have an acre. They have half an acre. And so just playing with those numbers, and I write, like I'll print this view and I'll write on the sheet, no pool, this square footage, this number of days. Like I even may go back 365 days for this one since there's only 3. And see what the trend of the neighborhood is. I may also go back 7 years because the market always overhauls every 7 years. So maybe I'll show them a trend in the stats for all 7 years. Again, knowing the property, knowing the history, being fully prepared is always best. And this CMA should take you on most properties at least an hour to be fully ready and prepared to go on a listing. And that's why when you get in the house, it shouldn't take you that long to actually have the conversation, because you're fully ready to tell them what you believe the house should be priced for and what it would sell for. Question about the views that I print and like what I print right here on Matrix. I've still got a few other things I have to add to this, but this is just the Matrix view. No. Okay. I also print out the public record of the property. So I will always print out the public records, realist tax, so that you see that they're the owner, how much their tax rate is, are they in a MUD, double check square footage, see what they bought it for, last, if they have a mortgage on the property, all that information will be right there. So I print that out. I also print out the most recent MLS sheet for the property. So when they bought it, essentially, if there's supporting docs with that, I also print those out, because I want to be the expert of this house on top of the owners themselves. So obviously the owners know more about the property than I do, but my job is to know just as much as them on the property. So I want to be fully prepared and be able to be like, oh yeah, I saw that you bought it for $325. I saw that the roof was replaced right before you bought it. I noticed that that deck got replaced. And so you can go in and you really look like the expert when you can walk in a house and be like, oh, you replaced that kitchen. Or, oh, I noticed this about your property. They'll be like, oh, really? How'd you know that? So obviously, if it's your best friend, you probably already know a lot of that stuff. But for the people that are not as sold on you yet, this is what helps sells you and makes them feel confident around you. And trust me, everybody knows what the neighbor listed at. They don't necessarily know what the house sold for, but they're like, oh yeah, Joe and Mary down the street, they're listed at this, and that's this price per square foot. What's going on with that? And so they don't know typically the details of offers. They don't typically know why it's selling for what it's selling. So that's your job to help them. Like someone might say, oh, well, that one's listed for 200,000 more than mine. Let's list there. Well, it's been on the market for 500 days. So how about we not? Like they don't necessarily notice that. They notice the price or the price per square foot. So although that's not what we do when we price homes, you need to be prepared going in there to have those conversations and handle those objections. The last thing that I have ready for them is an estimated net sheet. So I have an app. It's the Fidelity app. I know pretty much every title company has their own app. Patent Title, Fidelity Title, Old Republic. A lot of them have their own app. So you find one that works for you. They do have to invite you to it. So you just get with the rep. They'll be more than happy to do it. And trying to find myself so that I can see what you're seeing. There we go. So here's my app. It's the Fidelity One app, and it does estimated net sheets. And so after I decide what I think the price would be, and again, I don't know for sure. I may not even know. The question I ask is, what do you want to list for? So I typically know what they're looking for. And if they're completely out of the realm, I don't even run a net sheet for what they want if I don't believe that it's even close to what the market's doing. But I put in maybe 1 or 2 or 3 scenarios, and you can always do this in front of them too. So just in case you print out 1 or 2 and it's not the price that they end up wanting to do, you can always do this and then text it to them or email it to them. But you put in the sales price, what type of loan that they have, what your broker fee is, any miscellaneous fees, what the property taxes are, if they have a loan balance. It does ask you for the interest rate of their loan. It does give you an estimate based on like when they bought, what the average interest rate is, or you can just ask them. And then always do like a 30-day closing date out, unless you know it's going to be later. And then you compute it, and it actually lets you either print it or email it. I mean, I obviously print it, and I have 1 to 2 to 3 versions, again, depending on the conversation I've had with these owners on and what the market is doing. If I feel like there's a window of opportunity, I might do the highest and the lowest so that they can see what's best and worst case scenario in their costs. Questions about net sheet?
So you said you have that that app downloaded because someone invited you to it, like, or you can just download it?
No, you have to get invited. So a title rep has to invite you. Callie Gonzalez with Fidelity Title in the Woodlands is the one who did mine. But honestly, not every single, majority of title companies have an app that does this. So if you don't want to go with her, which you could call her up and she would do it in a heartbeat. So I can definitely when I send out these items, I'll put her information on there, but all types of title companies will do it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so when you get now, you should be pretty much prepared. I literally just have numbers. I have a couple net sheets, pen, paper, and I go to my appointment. Please don't be late. Like, absolutely don't be late. When you do the pre-qualification questionnaire, you confirm the appointment. So one thing I don't do is go to an appointment unless it's confirmed. So if you haven't heard from them, if you haven't done this pre-qualification questionnaire yet, and it's creeping up to appointment time, I don't show up. I will text, I will email, I will call and be like, I haven't heard from you. I've been trying to confirm our appointment. If I don't hear from you in the next hour, we will need to reschedule. And I will not just show up to a house without a confirmation. I had one where I did it. I drove like 45 minutes in morning traffic. And again, this is when I was in my like newbie mode. My coach advised me not to do it. He told me to always confirm, always get this pre-qualification, never go on an appointment without it. I did it anyway because I was like, oh, I'm going to prove to him he's wrong. Like, that was me at 20 years old. And I drove 45 minutes in 9 a.m. traffic and get there, and they were inside. They were 100% inside. I heard them. I saw lights on, dogs were barking, a car was in the driveway. I heard people talking. They never answered the door. And I knocked and I called and I texted, and after 5 minutes I left and I never heard from them again. And I will say, without confirmation, especially with listings, have I done it a few times, maybe with renters or buyers since then? Of course, that was 11 years ago. But for some reason, that memory has stuck in my mind so bad that I have never showed up without a confirmation again. So if you haven't had this conversation, if you haven't had confirmation, don't go to the listing appointment. If you have, then usually 15 minutes out, I text and say, hey, I just letting you know I'm 15 minutes out, but it's still on time. Like, you're on time. You're just letting them know you're on your way. You're 15 minutes out. Then when you get there, if you're a little early, drive around the neighborhood, check out the area. Obviously, don't be late. And then I don't show up early. Like, I don't go up there 5 minutes early unless the person says, oh, well, if you're early, come on in, that kind of thing. But otherwise, I drive around a minute or two, I pull up, and then I get out, knock on the door, and then I have them, one of two things. You can either sit at the table first and talk and go over everything, or I typically like to walk around the house. They can escort me. I prefer to walk around myself from the view of a buyer. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, when we show properties, you will not be here. And so I would like to walk around with my notepad, taking notes, and see what I believe of the eyes of the buyer is going to look like. And then we can talk about what we may need to do to get your home list ready. And then once you do that, you sit down, you go over what you saw, you confirm some of the items, like, so just to confirm, y'all are wanting to move to Austin. but timing isn't as important, but money may be the most important thing for you. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, great. Well, let's get straight to it. This is what I found. And I just literally go through everything and again, engage. The worst thing is being super robotic and rehearsed in a listing presentation. You do need to be confident, but it's okay to be at ease and have a conversation and build a rapport and ask questions and make jokes. That's what makes you real. And a lot of this process is still going to make you look professional, but it's okay to build that rapport with them during this. Once you talk about numbers, depending on where they're at, I mean, I don't like to take overpriced listings. So if it is absolutely way outside of my realm and they are not on the same page as me as pricing, then I say, you know, I don't believe I'm the one that's going to help you the best. And I just end the conversation. If I feel that we're in the ballpark, then we talk about next steps. Getting the house prepared, taking professional photography, getting the sign in the yard, putting the lockbox on the door. And I have that checklist. I brought it up at one point, which I'll be sending out as well. And I really do unfortunately have to cut this conversation off. I went 20 minutes longer than I really should. I apologize, guys. Most of y'all are parents, so you understand, but I feel bad that my nanny is dealing with my puking children at the moment. So I do intend to finish this conversation. I'm going to go ahead and stop it. I will upload when I get home and get the girls settled. I'll upload the class from here, and then I'll send out what I've talked about, and then I'll schedule the finishing conversation for early next week, depending on how the girls are feeling at that point. Before I jump off, do you guys have any quick questions for me about this? And I sincerely apologize, guys. I was not expecting this to happen.
I'm good. Thank you.
No, bye, Lena.
Bye, guys. I will get this all over to you and then we'll reconvene when I can. But feel free to call me. Obviously, I'll have my phone on me. So call me if y'all need me, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
y'all.
Bye.